Our man Matas Kurat is in Los Angeles for this year's LA car show. He's very happy to be there, first because in Germany it would most likely be gray and damp, and also because there are plenty of new models here for his Christmas list. Some 50 brand new cars are debuting here. 20 are celebrating their world premieres. But there are also facelifted versions of cars that have long been on the market. These are especially for car buyers. They've come to the show in droves. It's not limited to professionals. There are more models here ready for production than at other car shows. Like the new Mini, for example. Matas points out that the new Countryman is hardly mini. He examines a clever new feature he didn't quite understand at first. He thought the cushion was meant to protect the bumper while loading or unloading the car. But this didn't quite make sense. It's actually for sitting on, if the driver wants to take a rest in the open air, or take off dirty walking boots and to change into cleaner shoes to keep the inside spotless.
Tatsächlich cleveres feature.
Thanks to the Lincoln Navigator concept car, you can forget your house keys and still have a clean outfit for the next day. Volkswagen is aiming to become the world leader for electric drive cars over the next 10 years. They've just unveiled a new e-Golf. Jürgen Stockmann explains that the car has 50% more range than before. This amounts to 125 miles of driving before the battery needs to be recharged, so clients can drive back and forth to work for several days in a row. This makes it far more practical than before. What makes it different from the conventional Golf is the electric motor, sleeker body design, and various details. The battery charger is under the fuel cap, so it doesn't take up space in the trunk. Matas explains that in Greek mythology, Atlas held up the heavens. Volkswagen hopes that its new Atlas will prop up North American sales. Matas thinks that this full-size SUV was far too long reaching the market. He definitely wants it on his Christmas list. Mazda's new compact SUV is somewhat smaller. It boasts the same elegant Kodo design that the Japanese company first introduced in its CX-5 a few years ago. The contours of the next generation model are much more honed. It's due out in the first half of 2017. Bernhard Kaplan from Mazda explains that the familiar motor lineup under the hood remains. What's changed and improved are the driver assists and the electrical hatch. He says these are significant steps forward. Matas says it's a shame that Mercedes scrapped the big open vehicle segment that used to be a fixture in their range. But this new Maybach S650 Cabriolet could reverse the decision. He thinks it's a lovely car, and it's definitely going on his wish list. But he says he would opt for different rims. Porsche's new Panamera Executive is 15 centimeters longer than its previous incarnation, which already had plenty of room. But the Panamera 4e Hybrid Executive is a whopping 5 meters 20 centimeters long. Of course, the wheelbase is also longer, 3 meters 10 to be precise. This makes the car more comfortable for passengers in back. Furthermore, this hybrid car is very efficient. Porsche's Oliver Blume says the range is over 50 kilometers, and the car boasts 462 horsepower, so performance is excellent. He says the vehicle is very environmentally friendly and a lot of fun, too.
Das Jaguar I-Pace
Matas would also like to put the Jaguar I-Pace concept on his wish list, but not for this Christmas, since it's not due for release till 2018.
zu spät.
There's even a spaceship on show in Los Angeles.
Also es ist schon
Matas notices it just as he's saying that his wish list is already way too long, and if he were to get the spaceship for Christmas, where would he end up putting
darf
it?
natürlich auch nicht fehlen.
Maybe he should
Jetzt habe
keep
ich
his
zwei
wishes
Probleme.
practical this
Erstens, ich
year
weiß gar
in
nicht,
Los
wer mir
Angeles.
diese Wunschliste erfüllen soll. Und zweitens, wo stelle ich das denn jetzt plötzlich hin?
Before, when car tester Michelle Assenmacher thought of Jaguar, she thought of luxury sedans with a discreet elegance and an exclusive clientele. Then this one came along.
Denn dann kam der hier.
It's loud and wild, but stylish. The Jaguar F-Type R puts out extraordinary performance encased in an extraordinary design. The stretched hood moves the passenger compartment farther back, curving into a tightly rounded back with broad rear fenders. The F-Type R looks just as curvaceous coming and going. This all-aluminum coupe is the sportiest, snappiest production model in Jaguar's history. The Big Cat's 5-liter V8 engine puts out 405 kilowatts of power with 680 newton-meters of torque. Its top speed is electronically capped at 300 kilometers per hour. The F-Type R makes the 0 to 60 sprint in 4.2 seconds. Since she doesn't head out to the racetrack every day, Michelle would like to know if she can turn this predator into a kitten. But the supercharging and direct injection don't make it easy to tame. Michelle wouldn't say this ballistic missile has any sense of English propriety. It's loud, it's brutal, and brawny, and roars out the back so nobody could fail to hear it. For the handsome 107,000 euro sticker price in Germany, the coupe has to command respect. The 8-speed quick-shift automatic transmission makes for pickup on the road and goose pimples on Michelle. To get it stopped again just as fast, there's an optional carbon ceramic matrix braking system. Michelle says all she has to do is look at the brakes, and they catch. The gas pedal responds almost as fast, barely tap it, and F-Type R leaps forward. No British understatement here. Looking almost like a wardrobe malfunction is the active rear spoiler. It pops up automatically at speeds exceeding 110 kilometers per hour, but doesn't pop back down until the speed drops below 80. Michelle is very pleased. The Jaguar F-Type R's torque vectoring system works with an electronically active differential. Together, they optimize traction and stability rounding curves and enhance the steering and agility. In Germany, another 6,000 euros gives this Jag all-wheel drive. Once Michelle's turned the engine off, the interior almost makes her forget she's sitting in a beast. All the materials feel so good and look so nice, but the nicest part of all is raising and lowering the vents. It almost seems choreographed. All the F-Type interiors are geared to the driver. All the controls are within easy reach. A comfort and joy are the performance sports seats, offering inflatable side bolstering for extra support of the upper body during high-speed cornering. The premium leather adds a sensual touch. Michelle is still trying to tame her Jaguar. She'd like to be able to take it shopping and bring home cases of mineral water. She's amazed that she could actually fit two inside, with more space in front. So this is a car she can use.
Also, da passt schon mal ganz gut. Aber das Highlight verbirgt sich natürlich.
But the real highlight is up front under the hood. She doesn't think she'd ever be able to tame the Jaguar F-Type R completely. At heart, it will always be a wild beast with brute force. There may be no way to hide it, but nobody's likely to steal it either. This Jaguar is heard as much as seen. The sound will turn heads on every side, right from the moment the engine lets out its first mighty roar. Japanese carmaker Suzuki built its reputation on the strength of its compact cars. One of the make's best sellers is the Swift. Popular since 1983, the model got its most recent facelift in 2013. Though externally similar, it has little in common with the 2005 version when it comes to technology. Car tester Andre Zimmerman wants to know whether the Suzuki Swift is a long-term success or, in the face of competition, may be losing some of its steam. When it comes to engine options on the Swift, there aren't that many. Apart from the sports version, every Swift that rolls off the assembly line is equipped with a 1.2-liter engine. An Eco Plus package that cuts CO2 emissions to under 99 grams per kilometer is optional. It simply drops power output by a barely noticeable 3 kilowatts. The top speed remains unchanged at 165 kilometers per hour. The Swift's motor doesn't quite cut the mustard for Andre. Its performance is all right, but from a purely subjective standpoint, it kicks in too late. You need high revs. It's not much fun to drive fast in the Swift. But Super Minis are designed to be practical city cars. Suzuki itself calls the Swift a city runabout with something more. At 3 meters 85 in length, it eases into tight parking spaces. The turning radius is just 10.4 meters. If you opt for a Swift without the Eco Plus package, which lowers clearance by 10 millimeters and cuts the turning radius even further to an impressive 9.6 meters. Andre says the steering is a bit on the stiff side, but it also doesn't give a lot of feedback. One thing that bothered him a bit, at least initially, is that the clutch feels soft, but that's not necessarily a drawback. He does like the smooth shifting. The gears slip up and down almost effortlessly. He appreciates that very much. The Swift has a distinctive look. Our test car with the comfort equipment line features aluminum rims, LED daytime running and fog lights integrated in the bumper, as well as a light sensor. The interior is a bit bland. The luggage compartment offers about 70 liters less space than competing models, Andre says, and the sill height seems to be dictated by a biblical measure of 1 cubit. Rather a lot, but surely less means more space for the rear seat. The big door makes it easy to get in, Andre finds. But to be honest, he says, he expected more from the rear seat, given that the trunk is so small. It's okay for short hops because your knees push against the seat here, but you wouldn't want to sit here long, and the headroom is surprisingly low. The Swift is priced competitively, but overall you get more for your money with other brands. Still, the Swift has one big sales edge. It's a compact car available in four-wheel drive, which is not something you find often. Starting at under 16,000 euros in Germany, the four-wheel drive Swift doesn't even cost more than the normal model equipped with the Comfort line. And even if the four-wheel drive only comes in the pared-down club trim, without the light sensor, tinted rear window, and aluminum rims, all in all, it's a good buy, especially for drivers in suburban or more rural areas. Car tester Reinhold Deisenhofer recalls that some 40 years ago, the then IBM CEO Thomas J. Watson estimated the world market for personal computers at only 5 units, a prime example of how reality can shatter all expectations. In the 1980s and 90s, hardly anyone had any idea what an SUV was. By 2013, nearly 250,000 had been sold, and another 100,000 by 2015, and the market is still growing. So it's no surprise that Seat is now offering an SUV. It's called the Ateca. The Seat Ateca premiered at the Geneva Motor Show in March 2016. Demand for the model was so high that Seat had to stop taking orders in September. By then, delivery times had reached at least 10 months. And there was a reason. The sporty-looking Spanish SUV is available with a range of fuel-efficient engines. The smallest of the engines is a 1-liter TSI with just 3 cylinders, the kind normally found only in compacts. More powerful is the 2-liter TDI with over 140 kilowatts of output. Bernhard Bauer, CEO of Seat Germany, notes that compact SUVs' overall market share grew by 65% in 5 years, while Seat's jumped 88%. Those two facts combined make Seat's SUV predestined for growth. Drivers want to sit higher in a practical vehicle. All good news for the segment. Our test car is a 1.4-liter Eco TSI with 4-wheel drive. The 110-kilowatt engine accelerates from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 9 seconds. Maximum speed is around 192 kilometers an hour. With the top equipment line excellence, the Ateca runs 29,000 euros in Germany. Naturally, Reinhold says you could go off-road on light to medium rough terrain, but normally no one does. Drivers want a sporty, safe car. The company's own driver's assists include the radar-assisted cruise control. It can bring the car to a full stop and keep going. And in stop-and-go traffic, it'll automatically accelerate. The Ateca is compact and light. Our test car weighs in at 1,460 kilograms. Omitting four-wheel drive lightens it by 96 kilos. That makes the Ateca sporty and fun to drive, even with its fuel-efficient engines. It looks the part too. The Excellence version comes with full LED headlights with dynamic range adjustment, as well as taillights with LED technology. Top-spec cars come equipped with Seat's Media System Plus, featuring an 8-inch touchscreen and 8 speakers. The start button pulses like a heartbeat when the driver nears the car with the key. The drive mode button is within easy reach. Leather seats are available at a surcharge. Here we see the full range of upgrades available on the Ateca, from skid plates in front and back in an aluminum finish to special rims and exterior mirror caps in silver, a roof rack, and running board. These can all be fitted after purchase. Seat's a lot more accommodating in that area than other brands. Seat stresses that the Ateca doesn't just look like an SUV, it really can be used off-road. At the same time, it rides like a sports car. Efficient engines and appealing design put the Ateca in the fast lane to success. The NSU Spyder debuted at the 1963 Frankfurt Motor Show, and it caused something of a commotion. NSU announced it would start production within a year, with a planned 3,000 to 5,000 units annually. Loving attention to detail made it an instant classic. The Spyder listed at an impressive 8,500 Deutschmarks, or some 4,200 euros. But once the initial uproar had died down, the two-seater convertible was widely ignored by the German market. After months of delay, in September 1964, NSU raffled off the first one off the assembly line to an employee. The fuel tank and radiator were mounted in front, the engine in back. That gave the engineers an optimal weight distribution. The engine's small size allowed for a second trunk space, a unique feature at the time. Humming underneath, almost like a turbine, was the 50-horsepower Wankel engine. Armin Bauder was assigned to work on the rotary engine in NSU's R&D division. He has fond memories of the project and the advantages of the rotary concept. In the mid-1950s, NSU had already designed its KKM engine with a static housing, based on Felix Wankel's original DKM rotary engine design in a spinning housing. But the engine that was to carry the Wankel name performed noticeably better. He explains that the Wankel engine's mass is balanced, a great advantage over the reciprocating piston engine, which is harder to balance. The vibration is always carried over to the vehicle. In a rotary engine, by contrast, there's hardly any vibration inside the car. The car just takes off, with the engine purring like an electric motor. Another benefit was the power density, or the performance potential. The reciprocating piston engines of the time were somewhat weaker, so the rotary engine offered some advantages there too. And NSU had high hopes for the Wankel engine. Armin Bauder remembers it well. The designer suggested building a roadster with it. Because the engine was so small, it could be rear-mounted, so the car would have trunk space in front and room for another storage space over the engine and back. That's the design Spyder went ahead with. It was the first car that went into series production with a Wankel engine. The engine was extremely high revving and, compared to other small engines, very smooth. Revolutions above 6,000 per minute were no problem from the mechanical standpoint. But over longer periods, the cooling system couldn't keep up. The Spyder could run from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 14.5 seconds. Unlike the NSU RO80, the Spyder had a 500cc single-rotor Wankel engine with fuel consumption rated at 10 liters per 100 kilometers. It all seemed so promising. NSU set out to write automotive history. But it just didn't work. The apex seals on the combustion chambers kept wearing out. For some time, NSU was very obliging when it came to fixing the many problems, but the car's image suffered. The original goal of 5,000 Spyders per year soon proved utopian. The market never materialized. In the first year of production, NSU sold only 151 units. By comparison, 1965 was a good year, with 923 sales. By the time production was halted in 1967, only 2,375 Spyders had been sold. Today, it's a rarity, and the fact that it's the world's first series-produced car with a Wankel engine makes the Spyder a highly sought-after collector's item. A good-condition Spyder will put a serious dent in your bank account. Restoring a Spyder can easily exceed the cost of a new car. Tracking down parts is like a treasure hunt, with no guarantee you'll ever find what you're looking for. Only about 450 Spyders still exist today.